and welcome to today's LCBO virtual event, Vintages Summer Sips, Wines for Summer, for the Patio, and for the Cottage. Vintages offers an ever-changing selection of great wines, perfect for enjoying this summer, at home, on the patio, or at the cottage. From crisp and clean whites and sparklers, to thirst-quenching rosés and tasty, versatile reds, Vintages offers something new and interesting for every occasion. Today's event has been brought to you by the LCBO in conjunction with our trade partners. Hi, I'm Mark Staples, one of the LCBO wines buyers, and I'm thrilled to be here today to talk to you a little bit about some of the new and exciting wines coming through our Vintages selection this summer. With me today is product consultant Emerence Johnson from the LCBO in Niagara Falls. Hi, Emerence.
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. As Mark mentioned, I'm Emerence. I'm a product consultant at the LCBO Portage Road location in Niagara Falls. I'm so excited to taste these wines today and talk about what makes them so unique and why they are the perfect cottage wines. Where should we start, Mark?
Well, before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you're going to taste along with us, please taste responsibly. All right. Well, I'm super excited to get started with these wines because I love tasting and I love discovering new and exciting wines. So why don't we start today with some sparkling wine? And I know for me, whenever I have people over or whenever I'm at a gathering, I always like to start with a sparkler because it really brings a sense of joy and excitement and fun to any gathering. So today's sparkler is the Villarnau Barcelona Reserva Brut Cava from Spain. Cava is a great option when you're looking for something sparkler, but you don't want to spend a lot of money. It's made in the traditional or champagne method. And although it doesn't age quite as long as a champagne, it has the same kind of flavor profile and textural feel as a lot of champagnes do at a fraction of the price. One of the interesting things about today's Cava is that along with the classic Spanish grapes of Macabeo and Peralata, they've added some Chardonnay to really bring it even closer to the French ideal. So why don't we give it a taste?
Yeah, I love Spanish wines, not only for their exceptional value, but for their exceptional quality as well. I was actually supposed to visit Spain last year on my honeymoon, and that obviously didn't happen. But at least I can still have a taste of Spain at home. So let's give this Cava a try. Lots of lemon on the nose, fresh peach. Really, really fresh. That's really nice. Lots of tart green apple, some pear. But as you mentioned, because of the traditional method, it still has those really nice sort of bready, yeasty notes that makes the traditional method so special. I would serve this with some chilled seafood, like a ceviche, lobster rolls, but I wouldn't wait for a special occasion to open this wine. You could even do it with some salty snacks like popcorn, salty chips, or some pretzels. I also want to point out how beautiful this bottle is. If you're looking for a nice gift for someone, it just presents itself. And for under $20, you can't go wrong. What do you think, Mark?
I totally agree, Emerence. I think it's really tasty. It's a perfect way to start a get together in the summer. If you're sitting on the patio, you just want to have a little sip, something to really get the juices flowing and ready for the rest of the night. All right. Well, that's a great way to start. Well, why don't we move on, and we're going to taste a couple of white wines. The first white wine we're going to take a look at is the Old Vine Reserve Shannon Blanc from Ken Forrester in South Africa. Ken Forrester has been producing this wine since 1994, and Shannon Blanc is really the classic white grape variety in South Africa, what they're best known for. When he started making this, it didn't have a very good reputation, but he decided that he was going to follow the French tradition and really aim to make something delicious and fantastic. He's often called the king of Chenin Blanc, and he farms on a farm that was established in 1689, so centuries of history involved here. The wine's partly barrel fermented to add a little texture and a little little roundness to the wine. And the style and flavor profiles really are dictated by what's given in the vineyard. It's all about low intervention for the winemaker. The wine's matured on the lees for a little while, which means that it adds a little bit more texture and a little bit more flavor. And 100% Shannon Blanc, I think that if you're not familiar with this kind of wine, you really need to try it. Why don't you lead us through a quick tasting of it?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So Shannon Blanc is really, really a versatile grape. It can be anywhere from extra dry to sweet, to still, to sparkling, aromatic and flavorful to crisp and fresh. So let's see what the winemakers decided to do with this one. Some nice melon. We get some nice baked apple on there as well, not the fresh Granny Smith apple like we got in the cava. So definitely a drier style, Shannon Blanc, as opposed to one of the sweeter styles that I've tasted. Really nice though, really, really round, like you mentioned, from that oak barrel. Lots of orchard fruit, honeycomb, and lots of minerality as well. I would serve this with a barbecue pork tenderloin, or with a spicy or vegetarian, shrimp or vegetarian pad thai. This is the type of wine that you really, really should pair with food for it to reach its full potential. What do you think, Mark?
I totally agree, Emrance. I think that the acidity really lends itself to going with a lot of different kinds of foods. And as we said, you know what, if you haven't tried Shannon from South Africa, I think you really need to. All right. Well, why don't we move on to our third wine? Now we're moving over to California, where we're looking at the Rodney Strong Sonoma Coast Chardonnay from 2016. From a winery that's a solar-powered, certified sustainable, and in fact, Sonoma County's first carbon-neutral winery, the Pacific Ocean influence, the cool breezes and nights, and the long growing season really adds to the complexity and the depth of flavor of the wines that come from here. The wine was fermented in barrel 50% in new French oak, and 50% was fermented in stainless steel to give the winemaker a chance to do a little seasoning and a little blending to get the final flavor profile that he was really looking for. Another 10 months of lees stirring, just like with the previous wine, adding a little bit more texture and a little bit more of that kind of bready flavor, just to add even more complexity to it. The wine's 100% Chardonnay, one of the most versatile white grape varieties that there is. Why don't we give it a taste?
Sure. A lot of customers shy away from Chardonnay because they associate Chardonnay with a very heavily oaked wine. But the truth is, Chardonnays can be anywhere from completely unoaked to very, very oaked. There's a style for everyone out there. Sometimes they can be fresh and crisp, and sometimes they can have that really nice, rich, round butteriness that people associate with Chardonnays. Let's try this one from Sonoma and see what we've got. Again, lots of fresh apple. Some nice ginger notes on there too. And brioche. So still lots of really, really refreshing acidity, but those classic notes of a warmer climate Chardonnay like tropical pineapple. Some vanilla from the oak, and lots of citrus. So because Sonoma is a little bit cooler than the rest of a lot of other parts of California, it still retains that nice freshness. I would do this with some soft cheeses, like a brie. My favorite snack with brie is apples, Granny Smith apples dipped in brie, or you could even do a chicken salad and have yourself a picnic.
Well, perfect. I mean, it's picnic weather, isn't it? And I think this would go great with that, or even with something a little bit more formal, you know, nice roast chicken or something a little bit more interesting. It's got the oomph to stand up to something like that. Nice long finish on that wine too. I'm really still enjoying it. All right. Well, I think it's time to move on. And now we're going to taste one of the most classic styles for summer wines, a rosé. And rosés have increased in popularity exponentially over the last number of years, and to where now we have dozens upon dozens of different rosés available, styles for every taste and every budget. The one we're tasting today is the Côte de Rose Rosé from the Languedoc region in the south of France. It's produced by Gérard Bertrand, who is really one of the iconic winemakers in the southern Rhone and the south of France. And he's really very famous for bringing classic French traditions to a great region. It's a warm and windy climate, which is ideal for organic grape growing, and many of the grapes that go into the production of this wine are grown organically. There's minimal intervention in the vineyard, and the varieties are harvested individually and fermented separately prior to blending, with particular attention paid to the press, or when they squeeze the grapes, because they only want the first run juice, the very best juice, with a very, very light skin contact to only extract a little bit of color. And that's really what rosé is all about: nice, light, clean, and crisp. The wine's made with those traditional southern Rhone and south of France grape varieties, Grenache, Syrah, and Cinsault. And to be honest, whenever I see a bottle of rosé or I open up a bottle of rosé, I'm immediately transported to Provence, sitting out on a balcony or on a patio, having some charcuterie or some cheese, and just enjoying the day. Why don't we give this one a taste?
This is definitely one of our best-selling rosés and vintages, and for good reason. At $18.95, it's a steal. A lot of the other Provence-style rosés or rosés from Provence tend to be in that sort of 20 and over price point. And even though this one isn't from Provence, it still has a lot of those really beautiful Provence characteristics. Let's give it a try. Ooh, that's like summertime in a glass. Oh, fresh strawberry, lots of rose, such a grapefruit. Again, lots of red berry fruit. That strawberry carries over from the aroma right into the taste. Lots of fresh citrus, a little bit of herbaceousness, but just so fresh. This one I would do with barbecued ribs with a dry rub, or any Mediterranean style food to keep that Mediterranean flair going. So like a Greek or a pasta salad would be really beautiful with this.
I agree. It's really very tasty, and it really screams summer to me. And I know when I go up to the cottage this summer, I'll be bringing a handful of rosés to enjoy exactly for that reason. All right.
Actually, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. I wanted to mention in one of the other LCBO videos, I saw this, I heard this tip and I thought it was kind of cool. I guess what they do in Provence, France is they freeze the rosé in ice cube trays, and then they use that to keep their wine chilled. So while you're melting in the hot summer sun, your rosé stays nice and cool. So I thought it was a really great tip.
That is a great tip. I have never heard of that, and I think I'm going to use that tip.
Yeah.
That's perfect, because there's nothing worse than a warm glass of rosé. All right. Well, why don't we move on to our last two wines? Now we're going to move into a couple of reds, because although it's hot and it's sunny in the summertime, sometimes we want something that's just got a little bit more oomph to it. So we're going to stay in the same region in the south of France, but we're going to move slightly north into the southern Rhone region, and we're going to be tasting the Famille Perrin Réserve Côte du Rhône from 2018. The Perrin family is one of the largest winemaking families in the southern Rhone Valley, and they're most famous for owning the iconic Château de Beaucastel since 1909. And Château de Beaucastel, one of the most famous Châteauneuf du Pape from the Rhone Valley, is really a wine that demands a lot of respect. The winery, or the winemakers, are now in the fifth generation of the Perrin family, and they've really kept the tradition alive, along with doing new and innovative things in the vineyard to always aim to make the very best wine that they possibly can. This is a classic blend from the Southern Rhone. It's 60% Grenache with 20% Syrah to add a little richness and a little spice, and 20% Mourvèdre to add a little bit of body and a little bit of backbone. For me, Côte de Rhône offer great value and great versatility. They're great food wines, but they're easily consumed on their own. And I think that they go with almost anything. So why don't we give this one a try?
I agree, Mark. I think Côte de Rhônes are just an excellent value, and they pair with almost anything, or they can go on their own. I like to suggest Côte de Rhône as an alternative to customers who are typically into the New World style wines like California or Australia, just because a lot of times Côte de Rhônes are described as juicy or very fruit forward, which a lot of New World wines are described as. And by fruity, I don't mean sweet. Let's not confuse fruity with sweet. That's important to note. Let's give this a shot. So lots of ripe blackberry, really, really deep red cherry. You got that nice tart raspberry, some black pepper. There is a little bit of tannin at the end, but they're very subtle, very silky. I would serve this with a Mediterranean pizza made on the barbecue. You could even make that a vegetarian pizza. Pretty much any type of barbecued or grilled meat. It's very food friendly. So there's really not a lot of dishes that you can think of that will pair really well with this wine.
I agree. And it has a little bit of earthiness to it. And I always think that kind of wine will pair great with mushrooms. And there's nothing like, some portobellos on the barbecue to really add that umami flavor along with the wine. Yum, yum. One of my favorite styles of wine, that's for sure. All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the tasting, and we're going to taste our last wine for today. It's the Formula Roberts Cabernet Sauvignon Shiraz 2017 from Small Gully Winery in the Barossa Valley in Australia. Established only in 2002, Mr. Blanc, the owner of the winery, came from the pharmaceutical industry. And so the labels represent old-fashioned doctor's notes, kind of a fun thing. When you see the labels on the shelf, they really do look like an old prescription pad note. The grape varieties, which are 51% Cabernet Sauvignon and 49% Shiraz, are fermented separately, both in stainless steel to retain that kind of fresh fruit flavors that the grapes give you. But then they're matured in old 300-liter oak barrels for 20 months to add a little bit of oak flavor and a little bit more texture, a little bit more intensity, and a little bit more complexity to the wine. So this wine's got a little bit more age to it, just a little bit more body. Why don't we give it a taste?
Sure. Oh, it smells really, really complex. Wow. That's impressive. So on the nose, you get a lot of tobacco, lots of spice, vanilla, but you still have a lot of those fresh fruit characteristics from the Cabernet Sauvignon. Red berry fruit. On the palate, really, really deep black cherry, blackberry, cocoa. I'm really impressed with that wine. At $19.95, that is fantastic. A big Barossa red like this deserves a big, juicy grilled steak, or even a portobello mushroom burger would be really delicious. Be sure to serve this wine in a nice big glass to really let it open up and reach its full potential.
Yeah, I agree. And just because it's the summer doesn't mean we can't have a nice big red once in a while. I know that we're not often looking for something big and rich like this, but once in a while, I think it's okay to do it. And what a long finish on that wine. Well, I think you had a little story you wanted to tell about your summers and how you like to go up to the cottage. Is that true?
Yeah, every summer my family spends a week at the cottage in Sauble Beach. And every night we take turns making dinner. and we all try to one-up each other. So each meal is more extravagant than the next. The end result is a huge extravagant meal and a big messy kitchen, because there's no dishwasher at the cottage, of course. After all the dishes are done, we sit around the table and enjoy a bottle or two of wine. Any one of these wines we've talked about today would be perfect for such an occasion, or on your patio or a backyard barbecue. And that's it for me, Mark. Do you have anything else to add?
I do. I just wanted to remind everybody that all the products we've looked at and tasted today can be purchased at the LCBO, either in store, in person, or via same day or curbside pickup where it's offered, or on lcbo.com with delivery to your local store. And don't forget that this summer, over 115 stores in cottage country throughout the province are also offering an expanded selection of vintages products for you to choose from. So check lcbo.com for more details on that. And finally, keep your eyes out for these and many other wines being released Saturday, June 26th in the Cottage Wines feature in Vintages. So please tune in to more LCBO virtual events and visit lcbo.com for more details on our past as well as our upcoming events. And remember, please enjoy our products responsibly. Thanks very much and have a great day.
Thanks. Have a good summer, everyone.
Bye.